To Brussels now, where leaders have been meeting for the European Union summit. Several key issues have been discussed, including the crisis in Syria, challenges of migration and global trade deals. UK Prime Minister Theresa May has been at this summit. It's her first one as the British leader, and she has called for patience over Brexit talks with the EU. European leaders have condemned the ongoing violence in the Syrian city of Aleppo too. But for Africa, the biggest announcement affecting the continent was made early on Thursday. EU leaders have agreed to step up their efforts to curb illegal migration from Africa. Germany's Angela Merkel says it's crucial to substantially improve the lives of people within African countries affected by migration. Now, the issue of migration is one that's certainly a concern across Europe. As we heard there, the EU has been working towards several solutions. Our correspondent Mariam Zaidi has more from Brussels.
They arrive in their thousands, and many pay the ultimate price. The migration crisis, deepened by the Syrian civil war and instability in Africa, has seen hundreds of thousands of people make their way to Europe by land, sea and by any means necessary. In Brussels, right outside the door of the EU institution, a protest is taking place.
What we want of the European leaders today that they're meeting in the Council is that they do a U-turn of European migration policy. Shutting borders is not helping these people, it's making things worse.
Some of the measures to prevent illegal migration include closing borders and patrolling the Mediterranean to intercept human traffickers. The ongoing challenge of curbing migration from Africa to Europe is likely to come up at the European Council summit.
The High Representative presented her diplomatic efforts with 5 priority countries, namely Senegal, Mali, Niger, Nigeria and Ethiopia. The goal is to prevent illegal migration to Italy and to the rest of Europe, and to ensure effective returns of irregular migrants.
So prevention and effective return, the key words that will form the basis of future EU policy on migration from Africa. But with a 98% drop in arrivals on the eastern Mediterranean route, it emerged during talks that temporary border restrictions within the Schengen area could be lifted in due time. Mariam Zaidi, CCTV News, Brussels.
Let's get you more on that summit now and the possible impact on Africa. I'm joined live from Brussels by correspondent Mariam Zaidi. Mariam, can you talk us through the highlights of today? What's been discussed?
Well, the big story of the final day of the European summit, and quite the embarrassment for EU leaders, is CETA, the EU-Canada trade deal. Now, it was meant to be signed next week. Its status, well, it's unclear. Leading into the summit, we knew that all member states but one, Belgium, endorsed the agreement. Now, hopes of getting Belgium and specifically the regional Walloon government to back down and let CETA pass seem to have failed for now. Canada's Trade Minister has left talks in Brussels today, saying that it was evident that the EU is not capable of having an international agreement, even with a country that has values as European as Canada. So quite the stinger there for the EU's reputation. She added also that the deal seems impossible. Now, with CETA now in stalemate, it crosses back to the EU's executive, the EU Commission, to see if they can get it moving again.
And what can you tell us about the EU deal reached on Thursday, specifically on Africa's role in curbing migration?
Well, migration was the focus of the main discussion on Thursday. The European Council President Donald Tusk did say, as we said earlier in his press conference following that discussion, that the EU is looking at 5 countries, Senegal, Mali, Nigeria and Ethiopia. He said that the goal is to prevent illegal migration to Italy and to the rest of the world and ensure effective returns. But members of the European Parliament who weren't involved in the summit talks but did attend the summit nonetheless, they weren't very impressed. A Belgian MEP from the Green Party, Philippe Lambert, said that EU migration policy is made up of 2 words, pushback and containment. He said that the EU is pushing people back and bribing non-democratic states into making sure that no one steps foot on EU soil. Back to you.
All right, Mariam Zaidi joining us live there in Brussels.